It was a life of abuse. That's what victims of the man known as Papa Pilgrim said in court today, speaking out for the very first time at his sentencing. Now, we want to warn you, the testimony you're about to hear is disturbing.
Our family lived a two-secret life. On the outside, we looked quaint and could be quite charming when it suited us. But behind closed doors, a battle was always raging.
Robert Hale pled no contest to 30 counts of sexual abuse, incest, kidnapping, and coercion, for years of physically abusing his children and sleeping with his daughters.
I did not know when I was a little girl that you did not act properly with us girls. You always told us everything you did was proper. I know now that it was not proper for you to sleep with me and hold me close without your pants on. It makes me sad that you did these kind of things.
The wind howls against the windows, rattling like bones in the night. Shadows crawl across the wall as if they're alive. And somewhere in the dark, a story waits to be told. A story not of ghosts or goblins, but of something far more chilling, because the real monsters walk among us. They say the scariest monsters don't hide under your bed. They wait for you on the back roads where the headlights can't reach. Out in the sticks where the trees choke out the sky and the air tastes like rust and smoke. Shadows grow teeth. These aren't creatures of folklore, but flesh and blood twisted by rage, desperation, and cruelty. Some call them hillbillies. But in the dark of the night, they become something worse. Predators lurking in the woods waiting for their next victim. And tonight, we follow the trail of a crime that proves the most terrifying monsters are the ones you can hear breathing just beyond the tree line. Howdy y'all, Mullet Mike here. Let me tell you a tale that'll curl your toes, make you rethink your cousin Earl's invite to the woods. It's about a feller named Robert Hale, or as folks up yonder in Alaska call him, Papa Pilgrim. Now this ain't no ordinary hillbilly story about moonshine and moonlit coon hunts. Nope, this here's a story about a man who dragged his family way deep into the Alaskan wilderness and turned them into something straight out of them scary movies. You know, like The Hills Have Eyes met Deliverance. A little extra creepy. Papa Hale, well, he had a mighty fine mullet of his own back in the day. Don't let the beard fool you. He fancied himself the king of the forest. Papa's eyes was ghost pale, cold as ice water from a glacier creek. Folks said if he stared at you too long, it felt like he was reading your sins straight out of your bones. Now, town folks thought he was just a man of God, raising his family pure and simple. But behind them cabin walls, he ruled like a tyrant, breaking his kin down with fists and twisted scripture. He set up his own little cult, raising 15 kids in a cabin so isolated, even the squirrels were afraid to come around. They weren't just isolated, oh no. They were under his rules like ants under a magnifying glass, strict, scary, and weird as a three-legged coon. Folks say he was a master at mind games. He'd tell them that the world outside was evil, that the government was out to get him, and that any notion of normal life was pure nonsense. I reckon he's kind of right about the government being out to get you part, but don't let Papa Pilgrim know he's right. Anyway, Papa Pilgrim whipped up his own bizarre rules, some meaner than a porcupine in a balloon factory. The incest and abuse weren't accidents of circumstances. They were the tools of power, weapons that allowed him to dominate a household cut off from the rest of the world. But let me tell you the most important part of the story. One of them kids finally busted out of that frozen nightmare. She went on to tell the world just how twisted things got in that forest. Oh, he abused those children in every way possible. Oh, Lordy, you better buckle up and sit tight for this one. First, I'm your storyteller, Mullet Mike, local legend, professional gator wrangler, and part-time beer enthusiast. Some folks say I'm half man, half possum. But I prefer the term outdoor enthusiast with teeth issues. Now, don't let the mullet fool you. It ain't just a haircut. It's a lifestyle. Business in the front, paranormal investigations in the back. I've been called the Hillbilly Ghostbuster, the Appalachian Sherlock Holmes, and once by my cousin, the reason Walmart got them wear shirts and store signs. But tonight, oh tonight, I ain't here to tell you how to deep fry roadkill or make moonshine in a coffee pot. No, tonight I'm here to guide y'all through a true crime cult tale scarier than my Aunt Brenda's cooking, and that woman once made coon chili so hot it sent 3 grown men to the ER. So grab your flashlight, hold on to your britches, and follow old Mullet Mike, because we're fixing to dive into a story that'll curl your mullet faster than a faulty extension cord. Oh, by the way, as you can see, Holly's not here today because it is a hillbilly HOLLYWEEN tradition here at the Murder She Shed for Big Mike to kick off this spooky Halloween month. She said, "Hey, Big Mike, can you remind them to smash that subscribe button? Because the only thing scarier than the murders we talk about is a YouTube channel without very many subscribers." Now let me take a few sips before I begin because this redneck Papa makes my blood start to boil. Yeah, I didn't mean to get that in my mouth because I literally got this can off the side of my road. What you're about to hear is a true story and does involve SA and other forms of abuse towards children. So as an honorable hillbilly, I want to inform you that viewer discretion is advised. Also, last year when Big Mike made his appearance in October, people believed I was making the cases seem less important by doing special HOLLYWEEN videos. It's not the case at all. It's just a way Holly decided to give the HOLLYWEEN season a little extra creepy feels, and old Mike knows how to do that much better than my partner who has the good-looking granny appeal going for her. Yeah, old Mike may be old, but my eyesight still perfect. Because hunting season ends, fishing season ends, but the season for staring at a fine woman, that's year-round, brother. Well, enough of my chatter. Let's talk about Papa Pilgrim. Now, you'll gotta imagine Alaska, but not the postcard version with cute moose and happy snowflakes. Nope, this is the wild, untamed Alaska that Papa Pilgrim, Robert Hale, called home. Out there, the mountains loom like angry giants and the forests are thicker than a hog's winter coat. Trees grow so close together, light don't even dare sneak through in the daytime. The land around Papa Hale's farm, well, farm might be stretching it. Speaking of farm, all these chickens are cackling like crazy back there, so you're just gonna have to ignore it. Makes you give you more of the hillbilly feel, maybe. On their so-called farm, it was more like a frozen fortress in the middle of nowhere. The Hale family lived in an old farmhouse, which was primarily unfinished and without electricity or any running water. On their property, there was an old mine called the Mother Lode, and it used to have lots of copper in it back in the day. By the time Robert Papa Pilgrim Hale and his family arrived in 2002, the mine had long been abandoned, its structures decaying and its tunnels silent. At night, the wind would howl through the abandoned mine shafts, creating eerie sounds that echoed through the valley. In fact, the Hale family lived on private property inside a national park. Despite the primitive, creepy environment, Papa Pilgrim called their property Hillbilly Heaven. But to the children, the place felt more like Hillbilly Hell. But this is how Papa envisioned life for his wife and 15 children, unencumbered by stuff and as far away from godless civilization as possible. Property was 14 miles from the nearest town, McCarthy, population 42, and that included the 17 members of the Hale family. For food or fuel, the family would have to use horses or snowmobiles to make it into town. Family couldn't buy much meat or none of them fancy dairy products. They didn't have a fridge out at the homestead. So for victuals, they done a whole lot of hunting and fishing. The Hale family, or the Pilgrim family as they preferred to be called, mainly subsisted on government assistance, welfare, food stamps, and the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend money that every resident received just for living in the state. The 15 Hale children were named after the people, places, and things in the Bible, such as Joseph, Lamb, Psalms, and Bethlehem. Downright weird names, even for a hillbilly. I've heard a lot of weird names, but I'm going to say that just takes the cake. Papa made the girls only wear dresses, and both boys and girls could not cut their hair. They looked like they're straight out of Western days. If they ever go in town, their mother and all the girls were not allowed to shake hands or even look up at any of the strangers. Papa ate first, and he was waiting on hand and foot. LIECIO was the oldest daughter, and the one Papa laid his dirty hands on. You know, in that hillbilly incest kind of way. I'm going to call her Eva for short so old Mike can pronounce it better. It's just a big name for a southern hillbilly. The children were raised to believe that obedience was salvation. To question Papa was to question God himself. Papa enjoyed control and controlled them even when they would eat or use the bathroom. This was more like a cult instead of a family. And believe me, Papa knew all about cults because in his younger years, he had actually been a follower of Charles Manson. Karina was only 16 when she met 33-year-old Robert Hale. In 1976, they had their first child together, Eva. 18 months later, her brother Joseph was born. Eventually, they would have 15 youngins. When Eva was 5, her parents got hitched. Papa didn't hold with toys, games, or anything that made a youngin smile. He said playing was the devil's trick, and if a child had time for laughing, they had time for praying or working. So he made his children throw every last toy away. Papa Pilgrim didn't just take away toys, he took away pretending. Pretending, too. Can you imagine how somebody can take your sense of pretend away? I mean, it would just hurt on Mike's heart, since I love to pretend so much. From then on, the homestead went quiet. No giggles, no games, no little make-believe worlds in the snow. Just work, prayers, and Papa's heavy shadow hanging over them. He didn't just snuff out their toys, he snuffed out their childhood, leaving nothing but fear in its place. When Eva was 8 years old, her mother was given a special birthday present by her father. It was one of those fancy metal bathtubs, which was a blessing for the family since they only bathed once weekly, and that was just basically a sponge bath after boiling water and pouring it into a large pot. This large bathtub was set outside, and a fire underneath the tub would keep the water hot. Papa loved it most of all, and would sit in it for hours like it was his own personal throne. He was a king, and it was his throne. Papa thought a lot of himself. On one occasion, Eva's father asked her to get in the tub with him. She really wanted to just go play with her little brothers, but she's scared to refuse her father because she knew she'd be whipped for any disobedience. So she got in and he pressed her back against his chest. Even though Papa still had his undies on, she could feel him, fiddling with his private area. Eva was only 8, but she just felt something wasn't right about the situation. Papa controlled Karina and the kids through every kind of abuse there is. Papa ruled his family with fear, and he knew exactly how to keep them under his thumb. When his fists weren't enough, his words did the damage. A trained boxer in his youth, Papa Pilgrim would punish the children with his fist and tell them he was being lenient because he was capable of a whole lot worse. One of the worst corrections was to be put on silence. It was like being excommunicated. The offender could not be spoken to. A child might not get no food except bread and water or be made to eat outside the cabin. Would sit out in the rain or snow or sleep outdoors for 7 nights. That's a lot considering how cold it can get in Alaska. I don't know how them youngins even survived. In the evening, Papa would make all the older children sit quiet and not move and listen to the Bible as he read it. Once Papa dragged Karina outside for her hair to administer a beating, and he then nailed clumps of her hair to a post as a warning. Eva was locked in the attic for a week, was just given occasional scraps of food and a little water after being accused of telling a fib. Eva, she wasn't allowed to move a lick in that old attic. She's just given a dented bucket to relieve herself in. Only problem is that poor girl wasn't allowed to use the bucket unless she asked Papa first. That would mean he would beat her before she was allowed to go. So she'd just hold it until her belly was just screaming in pain. So she couldn't hold it anymore. Then she'd take her beating and go to the bathroom. The children could neither read nor write, except for Eva, who just barely knew how to read. There were not enough beds for the children, and many were made to sleep several to a bed. As 2 boy siblings got up in their teenage years, they became curious about the birds and the bees. Papa began hearing a rumor about these 2 boys getting touchy-feely with their siblings while crowded in that little bed. So he took the 2 boys outside and bent them over an oak barrel while they were shirtless, and he beat them repeatedly with a bullwhip. He made their mama hold their hands down and stuff rags inside their mouths to lessen their screams. They were whipped like this daily for weeks. He ordered the boys to take all their meals outdoors, for the Lord said, "You shall not eat with an adulterer." They slept on the floor in an upright sitting position for a while after that. All the children could not get breakfast in the morning while Papa received the whole fixings, biscuit and gravy, eggs and sausage and bacon, and he just got a little of everything, but they just went hungry and just went straight to work. The children fed the critters, mucked the pens, chopped wood till their arms felt ready to fall off, planted and tended the crops, scrubbed the cabin from top to bottom, and lugged water for Papa's nightly baths and for the laundry and dishes. The least favorite chore was dumping out that nasty bucket full of feces and urine that sat around and stunk up the whole house. They also had lots of sheep. In fact, they made a living off of selling their wool off the sheep, and they eat the meat. And so a lot of times the children were made to be the shepherds. And Eva, that was her job a lot of times, but actually she enjoyed that because she got out of the house for a little while and she enjoyed being in the wilderness. So that was kind of fun for her. Children would work sun up till sundown and then had to come in and listen to Papa, give them a Bible lessons before they could even eat dinner. They were so worn out by the time Paul's lessons were done, sometimes fell asleep before they even ate. The family wasn't allowed to have a TV or anything electronic because Papa thought such things were evil. Although Papa must have used a computer or some kind of electronic device to look at a memory card he had hidden in a leather pocket sewn onto his Bible case. This card was filled with the vile acts he forced on his daughter, Eva. When Eva was 19 in the spring of 1995, Papa Pilgrim took her on a special camping trip where he told her she was going to be his new queen and replace her mama. Papa also took his 5- and 6-year-old daughters on this disturbing trip. Papa then loaded a horse trough into the bed of the truck like it was sacred, more precious than his own youngins. After arriving at the campsite, he filled this trough up with water, then built a fire beneath till the water hissed and bubbled. The flames lit his face, made him look half man, half devil. He called it a bath, but sitting there in the steam, eyes rolled back, felt more like watching some backwoods ritual, because this was the sick moment he would make Eva his queen, and a king had to have his throne. So, hence the trough he brought out in the woods. It is sick, just downright sick, what Papa said that night to his daughter. He made Eva put her younger sisters to bed. Although he had touched Eva in the past, she was still pretty much innocent. Forced Eva in the bath with him way out there in the boonies. Told her when she was little, he enjoyed all the times he spent with her naked in the tub. He knew from the moment she was born that she was created for him. He said even as a baby, her naked body excited him. They had dreamed about this moment since she was a baby. He then began to touch her. He made her rub his hands and feet, which was something Eva had done nightly since she was small, because she had always slept with her dad in bed. Papa Pilgrim would sleep in the middle of his wife and her when they were at home. He told her that night she was going to be like Queen Esther in the Bible and save her people. In other words, save her family from excessive beating, since the act of giving herself over to him would soften the king's heart. Being my queen is your job, your duty, and your life. Everything that you're supposed to do in this life is happening right now. He took Eva's innocence that night, and she was too scared to stop him. He asked her again while they were sleeping in the bed of the truck with their 2 little sisters laying there. It would be many years before she could speak of that first night in the back of the pickup and tub, or how a few days later he followed her into the woods and forced her to the ground and tore off her clothes and began pawing her like an animal. It was too hard for Eva to speak about, so she just kept silent. After they arrived home, he told his wife what he had done and that Eva would be a new wife to him. And his wife, of course, put up a small fight, but not much, because she just knew she was going to get the tire beat out of her, so she just pretty much accepted that his own daughter was going to be his new wife. Her child she gave birth to was going to be his wife. After this is when he insisted that he must be addressed as Lord instead of Papa. The worst would come when Papa decided to start drinking liquor, which he had never done before. Papa enjoyed himself some of that hillbilly box wine, not this high-class stuff like Mike likes. Papa just kept drinking, and while drinking would get meaner than a wet panther. One time he even held his hand over his youngest son's mouth until he passed out, almost killing the little boy. One weekend, Eva was left alone with her dad at the cabin. Remember how I talked about that memory card earlier? Well, this would be the weekend Papa Pilgrim forced Eva to take those pictures and videos. First thing he did after the family left was beat Eva black and blue. Then he pulled out a camera. Papa asked her to get naked and dance. He then had Eba film the most vile thing that a daughter and father could do. Afterwards, he asked her to sew a little leather pocket into his Bible case so he could always have the memory card close to his heart. She believed this was one of the most evil things her dad had ever made her do, attaching those evil images next to the Word of God. Her father always took Eba to different places to have his way with her. And once while at a laundromat that had showers, he took her in the shower with him and tried to convince her that it was high time to have his child. Eba was 28 when her dad asked to be the dad and grandfather to her children. Papa and his family made extra money for the clan by singing and playing some Christian bluegrass music to the people of Alaska, and they also actually made a CD of songs they had written to sell. Each child had an instrument they used, and the band was called Pilgrim Family Minstrels. The family would sing any time they came into town for extra income, throwing the fiddle case on the ground for folks to slip some cash into. Shoot, that bunch could light up a place quicker than a kerosene on a brush pile. Didn't matter if it was just a living room or some big old concert hall. Soon as that country gospel got to humming, Pilgrim grinned and called it hillbilly music. Folks in Alaska thought they were an odd family, but enjoyed their music nonetheless. The father with his rye sparkle, the smiling musicians, the yodeling, the youngest children clogging wildly in their loud tap shoes. People said it was like discovering the Carter family back in 1927 in rural Virginia.
We grew up working and loving and spent a lot of time in the spirit with the Lord.
I don't know how I could be any happier. I really ain't looking for anything.
The older boys also became hunting guides to keep the family afloat. Hillbilly heaven was 420 acres of solitude. Papa would strut around like a rooster, proud as could be about how cut off it was. Ain't no road in, ain't no road out, he bragged, like being marooned was some kind of blessing. But it weren't long before he found out the hard truth. Living out yonder with no way in made getting flour, feed, and fixing near impossible. Now, Papa, he knew there weren't nothing but one path close by, and it was an old busted-up mining road, choked full of deadfall rocks and brush. Trouble was that track weren't on his land. It ran through the national park, government land, the kind them rangers watch like hawks. Papa stood there studying them trees, eyes burning. Reckon rules never meant nothing to him anyhow. So he grabbed the old bulldozer that had been left on his land when he had bought the property and went to town plowing a road through 14 miles of public national forest. You already know where this is going. It's caused a little ruckus when the road was discovered in 2003 by park rangers. Suddenly, the Hell family was all over the news, even the national news. They were becoming downright famous for taking a bulldozer to government land. Reporters and film crew from the BBC to the CNN made the long trip to McCarthy and Hillbilly Heaven to interview Papa Pilgrim. Could be counted on to call park rangers wicked liars and unfaithful good-for-nothings. Many townspeople sided with Papa, embracing his anti-government stance and his family's pioneer image. As time passed and the standoff with the Park Service intensified, even Papa Pilgrim's most fervent champions began to feel uneasy. He'd sing long letters full of archaic language to the local paper or simply post them in town. Wherever he went, he was followed by his almost always silent children, who many suspected of being vandals and thieves at their father's command. It was actually true, because father said they were all sinners, so he had a right to steal from them. Finally, the government gave a warning that no one should drive motorized vehicles on that road. Papa was mad as a hornet, but he had more important things to worry about at home. The last straw came for Eba the day Papa hauled her into town for supplies. They holed up in some ramshackle cabin on the edge of town, just the two of them. Weren't no kin around, no mama, no brothers, nor sisters, just Papa with that hungry look in his eye. Wanted what he always wanted when he got a girl cornered, the kind of attention no daughter ought to know. But Eba had had her feel. She told him plain and simple she was sick of being treated like his wife, said Papa Bullen. Papa had a rule about hitting never in the head because bruises on the head or faces told stories he couldn't cover. But that night his rage burned hotter than his caution, and he continued to beat her head till she was knocked plumb out. When she came to, Eba knew what was coming. She could see in his eyes the way his hand went for that belt. Soon as he laid it down on the table, she snatched it up and quick and pitched it straight into the fire. Flames licked leather, popping and crackling like gunshots. That had done it. Papa's face was red as coal. He spun on her and drove a wicked fist in the back of her neck. It was like a lightning bolt tore through her spine. Her legs gives out and she hit the floor. Body gone limp, couldn't move, couldn't even lift her head. What little breath she had, she whispered, "I'm dying, Papa. You've killed me." Her voice was so faint it hardly made a sound over the hiss of the fire. In that dark moment, Eva recognized she was ready to draw her last breath. But then, clearer than the room, clearer than the pain, she heard a voice, not his, but God's. "I'll never leave you nor forsake you," the voice said. And there on the floor, feeling the life leach out of her, she held on to them words like a lifeline. Finally, Eva lost consciousness altogether. When she awoke, she was naked, laying on the bed with her father, taking advantage of her. When he was done, he gloated over her bleeding bruises. "Get up," he demanded. "I want to see." Eva didn't make a move until he yanked on her in order to get her moving. Papa said in his seedy way, "Come on, my dove, my only one. Stand up straight and dance for me." And then her predator father filmed her so he could later enjoy all the marks he had made on her face and body. For 36 long hours, Papa Pilgrim kept her trapped inside of that cabin, making her do unspeakable things and beating her. When they made it back to Hillbilly Heaven, Papa couldn't keep it hidden no more. Weren't no mistaking what he had done to Eva. Her brothers seen it plain. Papa Pilgrim weren't treating her like no daughter. He'd set her up in his mind as his wife. At night he kept the whole family up till near sunup, rambling and preaching about how their union was something pure, something holy. Said Eva's part was to bring more youngins into the fold, more brothers and sisters to bless the family. The boys sat listening, stomachs churning, knowing it wasn't right. They'd been raised to obey, but this time the only thing left was to get going. They begged their sister to come, whispering to her that she had to run like the devil's chasing you. She told them she was too scared, but they should go. So one night, the older boy slipped out quiet. Eva was still in trouble, but she managed to sneak a loaf of bread out to the kitchen window, a way of saying goodbye to her brothers. Joseph, Joshua, David, and Moses eased 2 snow machines down the trail, pushing them by hand so Papa wouldn't hear the engines fire. Then with the cold bite of the night air in their lungs, they lit out into the dark, leaving Hillbilly Heaven behind. Eva and her younger siblings were left to deal with Hillbilly House of Horrors on their own without any older brothers to protect them. 3 months later, when Papa Pilgrim went into town, Eva and her 17-year-old sister made their escape on an old snow machine. They camped in the wilderness for 10 days until they felt it was safe, then found a phone and called their older brothers to come get them. When Mama told the brothers on the phone that Papa was taking his ritual baths with 15-year-old Hosanna now, Joseph drove back to McCarthy and snow machined up to the homestead and took her away from this sick man. The children were taken in by the Buckingham family, and 2 of the brothers eventually actually married the Buckingham daughters. The Buckinghams were able to convince Eva and some of her siblings to tell authorities what their father had done to them. In September 2005, Papa Pilgrim was sentenced to 10 years in prison for SA and 2 years each for incest and coercion. He only lived 6 months in prison before he died of liver cirrhosis at 67 years old. And alcohol done got him. Eva still lives up yonder in Alaska. She had herself a husband once, but come 2023, after 16 years of marriage, it ran its course. She's now raising 2 youngins, and the littlest one was born with Down syndrome. Then in February 2025, life threw her another cruel twist. Doctors told her she had grade 4 glioblastoma, the meanest brain cancer a body can get. Most folks with it don't see but usually a year after they get it. But Eva, she's always been a fighter, always had to be. She's facing this just the same, standing strong even with the odds stacked high against her. Even though her father used religion as an excuse for abusing his family, it did not lessen Eva's faith. She realized that God was a different God than her father preached. She's still a woman that loves the Lord. She also wrote herself a book about her life called Out of the Wilderness, Escaping My Father's Prison and My Journey to Forgiveness, which Holly told me you could find on something they call Kindle. Well, now, folks, Reckon it's time for old Mullet Mike to hang up his hat and crack open another cold one. This here hillbilly ain't getting no younger. Just wasting my precious time covering for Miss Holly. Y'all know I do it 'cause I love you. Now before I go, let me wish everybody a good old happy HOLLYWEEN. The month's just getting fired up and it won't be long for the haunts and holler spooks come creeping around. And like I always say, if you can't outrun the ghost, just hand it a beer and dance with it. Now go on, have yourself a spooky, silly, and downright hillbilly HOLLYWEEN. Now I'm going to leave you with a few bloopers because boy did I have them.
Well, my wig might have a few, feel like my mullet might have a few fleas in it. Howdy y'all, Mullet Mike man here. Mullet Man Mike here. Let me tell you a tale that will curl your toes and make you re-drink. I forgot my beer, dang it. Holly needs to get her she-shed clean because I think I sit in chicken squat sitting in her chair. Darn chickens. Story about moonshine and moonlit raccoon hunts. Coon hunts. You know why I said raccoon? Because it's hillbillies say coon hunts. Been on a few of those myself. Yeah, that's what I told my little lady. Midnight coon hunts. I was hunting coon, all right. Oh, never mind. Mullet Man Mike got some snot in there. Papa Pale. He was pale. He's darn pale. Outdoor enthusiast with teeth issues. Now don't let the mullet, don't let the mullet fool you. There is a gnat. I think he lives in my wig. I think he lives in my mullet. Now don't let the mullet fool you. The mullet, not the mullet. Don't let the mullet. Yeah. I literally got the can off the side of the road. Holly didn't have any. I hope it's not nasty. But it's still almost a full can. After this is when he insisted that he must be addressed as Lord. Lord, instead of Papa. You thought he was bad before. Wow. I'm actually happy drunk. Magic Mike is. Not Magic Mike, Mullet Mike. Although I have a little magic in my back pocket too. Lots of magic occasionally. All these chickens making god-awfulest noise back there. Maybe I should take a break a minute. I don't even know if y'all can hear me for her cackling. Burning up in this she-shed. Feel like this might be hillbilly hell. One thing I like about Mullet Mike, I don't have to fix my hair. Put up a pony and just pull on a wig. And Mullet Mike's simple. Drawing a mustache, no hair fixing, no makeup, nothing. Just being Mullet Mike. Like Mullet Mike is. Mullet Mike's. It's nice being a man occasionally. Nice being a man. Again, you'll see my boobs. I tried to flatten them. Holly's dog is shaking the whole desk and the whole room right now. So I'm going to have to start back over and dang it again. There must be somebody here. UPS guy coming. I had to go get a package. They holed up in some ramshackle cabin. Oh my God, Adam. I just realized with the UPS guy, I had this part off, but I realized I still had a mustache on my face. Oh my God. UPS guy's gonna think, what in the world nut have I found here? Oh my God, how embarrassing. Oh, I forgot about the mustache. Oh my God. I bet he was laughing so hard. UPS guy never gonna come to my house again between my German Shepherd and my mustache. Oh my God. Talk to the UPS guy with a mustache on my face. I took all the wig off and all that part and forgot about the mustache. I was out there with my German Shepherd and my mustache. Always been crazy, but now the UPS guy knows I'm crazy, so... Lord Jesus is never coming back, I know it. Never deliver me another package. He said, man, that lady literally lives out in the boonies. She's growing a mustache and everything. He's probably wondering what my armpit hairs look like if the mustache looks this bad. Or my leg hairs. I gotta call my husband and I gotta tell him this. And I want y'all to be on the phone when I call him. You get to hear my husband. He's at work, and I'm gonna call him and bug him, okay? And to let him know what I did.
Hey, man.
Hey, what you doing?
I just got back from the grocery store. I'm not doing anything.
You'll never believe what I just did. Well, you probably will, because it's me. Anyway, the UPS guy come, and I thought, oh no, I'm out here filming, right? And I'm dressed like Mullet Man.
Uh-huh.
So,
Oh, good Lord, you went out there in your mullet man outfit.
well, I took my wig and hat off, but I forgot I had a painted mustache on. So I went out there, and I was clueless. I didn't even know. I just totally forgot about the mustache. He's like, where the dog hurt me? And he was looking at me kind of odd. And I'm like, no, just send it into the driveway. Oh Lord, I can't believe I just went out there with the mustache. He does think I'm backwoods now. I'm surprised the guy didn't run when he seen me. I have overalls on, camouflage shirt, and a mustache.
Oh, good Lord. He's gonna be like, no, he's leaving us.
He's never bringing us another package. I bet you, I hope he didn't record me inside his van because he sat there for a minute. When I got the package, what if he recorded me and said, look what I countered today? And then I go like on social media, like they're ready to get rid of Mullet Man Mike, I think. They just like Holly so much better. Yeah. See y'all next time. The murder she said. We said bye. Give me a package, I'll get it. UPS guy will bring it on out. Bye.